Two men journey to the bars and restaurants of Scandinavia to find amazing beers, always with the same question.
Hey, what's on tap?
It's time to find out.
All right, What's on Tap podcast, end of year episode.
It's the end of the year.
It's the, what year is this? 2020 wrap up. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to. I'm already looking forward to next year so much that I'm just like, what are we doing here? But
why are we still on this year?
Yeah, isn't this year over yet? But we're going to end the year for the episode for the podcast on a high note.
Hopefully on a tasty note.
I think we're going to end up on a very high note because I've been reading some online reviews of these, and all three of these have been getting pretty good reviews.
Nice.
So what we have today to help us reminisce through the year and talk about what we thought were the best beers of the year and some highlights and some disappointments maybe and what we have to look forward to for next year. We have the Yule Maelk set. So we have just the regular version, we have the rum barrel aged, and we have the bourbon barrel aged. All three to try.
Nice.
And we should be pretty lit by the time this episode's over because all of these come in at a
million
Yikes.
percent ABV.
Yikes, ABV.
Yes.
So the low ABV one is the low ABV is 13%.
Bah, weak.
That's a session beer.
And at least one of these is 16.3 and one is 17.1.
Yes.
We'll get there.
Oh yeah, we will. So let's try the first one. And
But I think there's so... I mean, it's been kind of a weird year. It's only correct to end it on a weird...
to go out, just passed out.
Yeah.
For sure. And I, for one, am really looking forward to this because these were all brewed in the new Yule brewing facility called Yule City. And as we've stated
multiple
times, they have been killing it this year. So I felt like we should celebrate the year with going out with Yule.
And I can see that you poured way more for me than for you.
I did not mean to do that. We can.
There
we go.
There we go.
Okay.
I was going to say, how nice of you.
That smells very roasted malts.
Roasted, chocolatey. A little boozy, but not that much.
Not too bad. And the carbonation on this is surprisingly strong.
Very thick.
I was not expecting it to be as carbonated as this, based on the normal imperial stouts we get. They're usually pretty thin in the carbonation.
Yep, it's like a mocha coffee.
Let's just read what does the label say? It says this beer is okay. Never mind. It's been brewed by Yule. Okay, so usually they have a little clever saying or something, but yeah, it comes in at 13%. Let's get trashed.
Yule Malt, wasn't it usually called Yule Maelk?
Oh, you know what? I've been reading it as Yule Maelk, but you're right, it is Yule Malt.
It used to be Yule Maelk.
It used to be Yule Maelk, yeah. Yep, it did, and...
Maybe they just changed it because they're now brewing it in their own facilities.
Could be.
So the barrel aged one you're holding has a lot of these expletive characters like stars and question marks, like someone is swearing in a cartoon.
Yeah, but they're all imperial milk stouts. So this is definitely the base beer.
Yes.
All right. So let's
try it.
Let's tear this up.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is rich. That's amazing.
That's really good.
Yeah. Nice.
Wow, there's a lot of licorice for me in the aftertaste.
It's a lot of licorice and chocolate and kind of burnt sugar like sweetness and just a real nice toasty roasted aftertaste on this.
Yep. So it's this sweet licorice found in like these bags of mixed candy sweets.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a lot of tubes merged together.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like a honeycomb kind of.
A honeycomb kind of licorice sweet found in Sweden. It tastes exactly like this aftertaste.
Yeah.
It's good. I like
really
that
good.
flavor.
Yeah, no, this is an excellent beer. Very excited, and so I'm super excited now to try the next two.
Oh yeah, they're
because if something is this, it's sweet without being like, what do you call it, cloyingly sweet, like overly sweet. It's just right there on that edge.
Exactly. So one good beer, potentially 3 good beers for what has been kind of a bad year.
It has been a bad year, but I would say it's been a good year for beer drinking, especially in the European markets, because while the U.S. brewery scene has been suffering tremendously, they have been exporting like crazy, and we've had the ability just to get some amazing stuff over here that we never would have gotten if the situations weren't as dire as they were in the U.S.
Yeah,
so
we've seen a lot of Equilibrium, and I think even other half in web shops. The UK market has exploded outwards, where Verdant used to be sometimes. It's now all over the place all the time.
Yeah, it's even in Systembolaget, and we had when Dea didn't they make it into Systembolaget with a couple of releases, and
maybe they at least made it into a lot of web shops.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I think both Dea and Verdant suffered from this expansion.
Really?
We've given them lower and lower ratings. And I don't think that's because we are getting used to them. I think their quality has suffered.
Yeah, somewhat.
And it might be. I think we're going to start to see trends where brewers that made really good beer on draft now have been forced to only put it in bottles or cans. And
yeah,
it's different. It's not the same thing, really.
Oh, by far it's not, and I felt that too. So take the Tool had the Magnum Opus that came out in like 3 or 4 years ago, and I gave it like I think a 4.5. It was amazing. I had it a couple times on draft. I think it was a draft only release that you could only get in Stockholm and the beer festivals and things like that. And then they bottled it recently, and it went from like a 4.05 overall rating to like a 3.4 or something.
Yeah, where everyone is saying that it's infected.
Right. So I think I think you do have that consideration when you go from tap to can or bottle.
Exactly, because with a keg, either you are serving it yourself at a festival or a bar is serving it, but whoever serves it always has the opportunity to recall it, like tasting it themselves and saying, "Oop, this keg is bad. Let's send it back to the brewer and get a refund." That doesn't happen when you mass produce bottles for the market, because you lose
that stuff.
You lose control of that container.
And we've seen it so much with like barrel aged beers and stuff, where the tannins or the bacteria in the wood sours the beer or produces a lot of off flavors in it, and that's always an unfortunate side effect that you get from barrel aging quite often. And we've seen it. I think we've seen it more and more this year than we have in the past few years.
Yes. So I do agree with you that yes, we've gotten access to a lot of beers that we didn't get access to before, and that's been a very good positive.
Ooh, a lot of Casey's come over, and a lot of,
especially to Denmark, which has been closed for a lot of the year for us, and then open for a little bit, and then closed, then open. I think so. We've gotten better beers to our homes, but we have had to struggle more to drink them because planning our very small and corona responsible mini shares has become a bigger problem.
Yeah,
it was really easy before to just get 8 people sitting at one small table close to each other and just going through everything. We've had to arrange like small 3 or maximum 4 person
get-togethers.
Yeah.
And even then, it hasn't been nearly as frequently as it was in the past.
Exactly.
So what would have been maybe a weekly meetup is now like a bi-weekly or
even monthly.
Yeah, monthly. Which also is not necessarily a bad thing, but
no, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's we've had to plan more and put more effort into making stuff happen.
Yeah. All right. So what would you give this one?
Minimum 4. I think a 4.25. I'm not ready to go 4.5.
I'm thinking 4.25 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really, really good. Okay, so which one do you want to do next? Rum or bourbon?
Bourbon.
Bourbon, all right.
Oh, that's good because then we're also increasing in strength gradually.
Gradually. Right, so we're jumping from 13%?
To 16.7%. Yeah.
16.3%.
3, yeah.
Yeah.
So remind me, where did all of these come from? At least some came from Systembolaget.
Right, well, one of them came from Systembolaget, and the other two, the Yule Malt and the rum barrel aged, came from the 2 gold subscription box.
But more were available at Systembolaget.
But only the bourbon barrel aged was available at Systembolaget. The December gold subscription box was amazing.
Nice.
There was some basically every one of their Christmas beers except for the Yule Malt bourbon barrel aged was in there. So we got the Glöglich and the barrel aged honey Kogan, which was also available at Systembolaget.
That's the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah. And then there was Blizzard in a snowstorm or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. It's a winter wheat IPA. That they put
I
out.
don't remember.
That's also available at Systembolaget. And then the Deepa with the hashtag.
Right. Yeah, but this is earlier.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the dark heavy stuff.
So they put it. They all came in the same box. And the other one I'm really looking forward to is Who the Fuck is Rudolph or Where the Fuck is Rudolph or something like that. It's a triple IPA that looks amazing. So, and there's some other stuff too. I don't remember, but those are the ones I was really excited about. But yeah, this one. So this one was at Systembolaget. Ooh,
it smells a lot of bourbon.
Vanilla.
It doesn't smell anything like the previous beer.
Yeah. This smells really mellow and much. The licorice and the hard roasty notes are gone, and this smells.
It's gonna be a good one. Let's try it. Cheers.
So candy-ish, kind of. Holy crap, that's good. That is evilly good.
That's really, really good.
That is not a 16% beer.
That aftertaste is surprising me very positively.
Yeah. There's a little bit of an alcohol nose at the very end right when you swallow, but it just dissipates and then it becomes like sweet toffee, milk,
chocolate.
Yeah.
That's
it tastes like
banger.
Almost kind of like a White Russian.
Yeah.
So if you like a White Russian, man, you're really in for a treat.
A really smooth cocktail.
Mm-hmm. Holy crap, that's good.
That's really, really good.
All right, so
speaking of boxes, you've had the 12 gold subscription box for some months.
Yeah, I did it for I think maybe 4 months,
and it was really good.
Yeah, I would say so. So at the beginning of the year, I was like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna review some of the subscription box services that are out there, and
that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah. And I think we only ended up reviewing one of the subscription boxes, even though we mentioned them a lot on the episodes through the years when we got the beers from. And originally I was only going to keep the kiosk one for just a couple of months, but it was so good I couldn't say no to it because the price was only, I think it was like 600 Swedish a month.
With or without shipping?
I do not remember.
Doesn't matter.
I think it was with shipping. Anyway, it wasn't. I think that was with shipping. It was.
It felt good.
Right. So it was 7 to 9 beers, and maybe every third month, one of those beers was a 750 milliliter brewery Tarus beer, which I'm not complaining about.
Exactly.
And it was just such a good price and such an excellent experience that I just kept getting it every month. And then I thought, oh, well, I'll try the Too subscription box. And that was also excellent because that was after the summer. And so I did it for the last half of the year, basically, September, October, December, I think. And again, it was just like excellent Too beers, and there was some Gamma quite often, and several other breweries they would throw in, that are regional to Denmark. And there was just a really good collection of beers. Very not disappointed with that. And then for some reason, I tried Drick beer as well, and I don't remember why I did that. Because also it wasn't none of these were very expensive. They were all with shipping included under somewhere in between. I want to say 600 to 800 crowns a month.
Yep.
And the Drick beer one was really good, and it's a lot of what do you call it? Evil Twin New York, and there was Prairie in one box, Prairie Artisan, and Cantillon, yeah.
Always something. Multiple good beers per box.
Right, but for some reason that box didn't excite me as much as
Kiosk
box.
Kiosk was more about wow, whereas the Drick beer was just consistently great.
Yeah, Drick beer was always. You're never going to be disappointed with the beers you got in there, and there was really never any that were very bad. And the Kiosk box was also always really good stuff, but you just never knew what you were going to get, and that was what the surprise was always for me, because they wouldn't advertise in advance, and even when the box came out, you still had a hard time finding what was in it.
Yeah. So
it was always a real surprise to see, but it was always like, I think we ended up having at least 3 of the beers in the Advent calendar, and I just featured multiple beers on the show as well. Whereas you've had the same beer box all year long.
I've had the Mikkeller Beer Club box, which used to be separate from the beer mailbox. Now they're
when did they quit doing the 2 different
this
boxes?
year? I don't remember. Like
before summer or
after summer?
After summer, okay.
The reason why I've kept it, so in 2018 they released like a big list of breweries that were going to get featured in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Really good, high quality brewers. Mm-hmm. And that's when I jumped on the Mikkeller Beer Club box train, so to say. And then 2019 was quite a good year. They released all the promised ones except one, because they had promised a Bocke beer, which is super rare and good. And this year I've been kind of lazy and haven't unsubscribed from the box. But I've been saying that it's because they need to release the Bocke that they promised us in 2018. Mm-hmm. And I've been complaining about it a lot, humorously. But I've been digging a little bit more, and they're never going to release that because they consider that they have done. So it turns out what they meant wasn't the Bocke beer. They meant a Bughaven beer made with Bocke. They meant Bughaven Sensei.
Yeah.
Then they never included that in the box because they had the opportunity to sell it instead. But since they intended to include it, they considered their obligation fulfilled.
Oh, wow.
Because they're a lying company full of liars and bullshitters.
Damn. Get some hard feelings there.
the box, there hasn't been a single good month for the Mikkeller Beer Club box. Every month of 2020 has been a garbage box of overpriced fillers.
It's like there's usually like 1 or 2 like really good beers. They're usually Bachhaven or I'm trying to think what were the other ones I've seen. Maybe Mikkeller San Diego or something. But,
yes.
But for the most part, you're also kind of like, ugh, Happy Little Christmas? Are you shitting me?
Yeah. So yes, there's been a few Mikkeller San Diego and Bughaven, but those boxes have had those one good beer and then just filler, like lime lagers and undrinkable. They're just drain pours. So you were paying like 700 kroner for your small bottle of Mikkeller San Diego.
Yeah.
Which is...
So are you keeping that, or have you unsubscribed?
I'm going to unsubscribe. I think it's too late. I will get next box, but that'll.
Well, it's not too late now. You can still unsubscribe.
Okay, then.
Because they don't charge. They usually don't. I think they're trying to. I think a lot of the beer box subscription things are like, we want to charge you right after Christmas so we can make sure you have it for New Year's.
Right. Yeah.
So I would unsubscribe as soon as possible.
Then it's probably too late now.
Yeah. I guess so.
And then we got the December box. A December box with not a single dark beer.
Yeah, the outcry on that one was pretty hard to read.
And then there was a big outcry, and they said, "Oh, we'll sell you a super rare box for super low price." And then we got the offer, and it was like, "Oh, it's an AleSmith Speedway Stout. Oh, it's an old Mikkeller. Wow, for 1,000 kroner."
Yeah.
So. Oh, you say that you discounted it, but this is just a box of fillers for 1,000 kroner. It's a see-through cash grab from a desperate company.
What it did feel like was, we have a lot of these beers left over we haven't sold yet. Let's put them in a box and then resell them.
That is exactly what that
special
offer was.
The only beer I think I saw in there was the Smoldering Holes from this year, which had just come out. But everything else, I think, was an older beer.
Yeah. So I'm making a prediction. In 4 years, there will not be a single Mikkeller location outside of Copenhagen.
You think so?
I think Mikkeller is completely dying as a brand, internationally and regionally.
I think these things are cyclical. I think it's Mikkeller has had some less than stellar years in the past, and I think that right now they're just going through a little bit of a rut, but I think they'll come back again.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, all I know is that passport, you're never getting 50 stamps. that day that has passed, that will never come to fruition.
Nope. And regionally, too early, because they were Mikkel's pupils in school, they have wildly surpassed the master.
Yeah.
And we're going back to this beer.
But I don't think...
It's so good.
But I think if you remember last year when we had the Advent calendar from there, we were saying a very different thing. That we were really looking forward to them opening their new production facility because we hoped that it would raise their
was
quality.
True. And it was true.
Yeah, because we were pretty hard on that box, and we were pretty down on them at the end of last year. But man, this year they really resurrected like a phoenix from the flame.
Definitely.
From the ashes.
This beer is super good. It's at least a 4.5. Maybe it's a 4.75.
I was thinking 4.5, 4.75 as well. I'm gonna go 4.5 for now.
Me too, but I want to keep sipping it.
Yeah, of course. It's really tasty. All right, so let's go to the next one, which is the Yule Maelk Rum Barrel Age, coming in at a... Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't read the little descriptor on the side here. I always love reading the descriptors when they have them, because this one actually has one. So the bourbon barrel age says, Xmas is here and Santa has brought some of his evil black Xmas milk. Watch out for this vicious puppy, a super tanker imperial milk stout aged in bourbon barrels.
I agree with everything on that.
Yes. And so let's pour up the rum. Barrel aged. And
the foam is very different on the Yule Malt and these ones. Light, fluffy, disappearing foam on these ones. The barrel aged.
This has the same descriptor, but it says rum barrel aged. I would say the carbonation wise,
it's good. It's good.
The carbonation on the rum is closer to the original Yule Malt, but the bourbon one was a little less frothy and didn't retain the head as much.
Oh, I smelled it. Well, that's a bomb.
This is boozy. This one smells like a rum cask. Yeah.
It's probably gonna be pretty tasty.
All right, man, let's do this.
Let's try this. Cheers. This is really boozy. It's like they poured half a bottle of of rum.
So they started with first we started with 2 gallons of rum, and we just poured that in, and then.
But you know what? This is a good kind of boozy. I've had the opportunity many times to drink high quality rum from like snifters. And it's a very good, pleasant experience. It's like drinking good whiskey. That's the kind of booziness I get.
Yeah, I would say that the rum, like for me, whereas we'll say that the bourbon one had more like vanilla notes and this like light booziness. The rum in this is rummy. I mean, this is just like sweet rum with a little bit of a roasted notes in the end because the rum aging comes out like super heavy on this. So I could see of the three, I think this might be the most divisive of the three beers because either you love rum or you hate it. There's not a lot of middle ground there. So if you ever have one of those, if you're one of those people that were like, I had a really bad night with rum and I just can't drink it anymore. Then this is not beer. This beer is not for you.
Wow, that's a very special beer.
I would say the booziness comes through the most on this one. Like, I mean, I don't feel it in the back of the throat. I don't feel it in the nose as much, but it definitely on the tongue. It's a really strong, boozy notes and flavors.
Yeah. I'm trying to recall if I've ever had a rum barrel aged beer that tasted like this special kind of rum. Rum barrel aged beers usually have a small, sweet, kind of cloying aftertaste. But this one tastes like. So they're going into rum country. In recent years, I've learned more and more about rum, and I've gotten to try rums that were considered funky.
I've had some funky ones
like
before.
French agricole rum and stuff.
I had a friend of mine who was Jamaican, and he brought me back a bottle of rum and said, "This is the rum we all drink on the island." And I was just like, "Good God, why? This is killing me. This is the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life."
You didn't like it?
No, because it wasn't like the super fancy Caribbean rum. It was like real, like Jamaican street rum kind of.
Okay, fair enough.
It was rough.
What I'm trying to describe is high-end rum that's of a specific version of rum that's not very commercial.
Are you talking about like like a spiced rum?
No.
So you're not getting away from the spiced rum, and not the clear rums either. It's more like
okay, so the specific rum I'm trying to get my brain to remember was a clear rum. It was a French agricole. It became that because of production techniques, not because of stuff dumped into the mixture.
Yeah.
But we'll just leave it. I'm getting a very high quality rum taste from this that I haven't tasted in other rum barrel aged beers.
I have to agree with you. I think this is really solid.
It's surprising me.
Yeah, and whereas the first two are really sweet, for me this one isn't sweet. It almost finishes a little bitter, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, much more than I thought I would. This one's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. So what
do you remember most from this year?
That was my next question.
I know.
So
I can read you like an open book.
Well,
Stefan.
we're on our third beer, so we're half an hour into this. So I thought we might get into the last segment, as it were.
Last hour.
The last hour of the show. So what were the highlights of the year for you?
It's difficult to say. I was thinking about it earlier because I want to say Mikkeller Wild Ale Festival.
Because it was the only beer festival we went to?
Yeah, but I also went to small Malmö Mittmöllan Beer Festival.
Didn't we went to that one together?
We did, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And that one was really nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where we had Nerd Brewing and Elm 11 and all of these good local breweries. We had some clunkers as well. Not all of it was good, but I remember it so fondly because it was a beer festival and I missed them.
It was, and it was in the middle of the summer when...
No, it was before Corona. It was so.
No.
Wild Ale was February.
Correct.
And Mittmöllan was like earliest March.
Was that early?
Just before.
For some reason I was thinking it was...
We were inside.
I know we were inside, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, Mullen would always be inside. So for some reason, I was thinking it was later. I was thinking it was like April or May or something like that. Because to be fair, Sweden has not been super hard on the Corona requirements. No. It's pretty lax, and in the spring we were taking quite a beating in the media and globally about how lax Sweden must be.
Yep, and now we're getting a new beating.
Yeah. And they have started cracking down a little bit more on the rules around the coronavirus as well.
But when it comes to beer, I mean, we've been living such a weird year in beer, where very little pub visiting. When I visited pubs, it's been right at the opening hour for just a few pubs that I want to support to keep them living through this crisis.
Yeah.
Like I live near Malmö Tap Room, so I've gone there at opening hours when there's no one there. Perfect time to drink their latest beers, give a little extra in tip, and then leave before people have a chance to start arriving. So it's so weird, and we've had our weird small tastings.
Well, I guess like one of the highlights for me is getting to I guess meet more people, such as hanging out with Bjorn more, and Marcus, Frosty Beard.
Yeah.
Those have been really, really nice because new friendships and new relationships are always good, and especially during these days. But yeah, I mean, they've both been on the show. I've enjoyed having them on. I look forward to having them on more often. Thanks again to Bjorn for being on during the Advent calendar.
That was a lot of fun.
And I think doing the Game of Beers was really good too.
Yeah, getting back into that groove. It's good that you mentioned them, because for me, they're acquaintances, they're friends I got last year or earlier.
Yeah. Not
this year. But I get that you are now starting to hang out more with both.
Yeah.
I'm more... they're more set for me.
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't really meet Marcus until... I guess basically we did that episode where we interviewed. No, it was one time before that. But I mean, it was the last half of this year, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, but I get it. That's a good one to bring up. I haven't made that many new friends in beer.
It's difficult. It's been difficult to do. Do you realize that we reviewed 2 versions of the Tuba Vault this year? The 2018 and 2019?
I'm not surprised because of my love for Driefonteinen and everything Driefonteinen adjacent. That's actually a good segue into what I should have said when you asked me what's been good about this year. A lot of people and businesses have been offloading their cellars of old lambic.
Nice.
Because a lot of people have gotten into economic hardships. And bars haven't had any visitors. So there's been a lot of rare old lambic beer on the market. And I've been snatching up a lot of it when it comes to Driefonteinen.
Now, how are you finding all of this? Or is that a secret you can't?
There are a lot of groups on different social media where people discuss trading and selling of beer. But there's also been a lot of out in the open web shops starting to sell rare lambic beer that used to be, by policy, drink in only at the source.
Yeah.
And now they've been selling them in bottles for the public. That never happened before, and that's a direct consequence of the economy of Corona life. So my Driefonteinen, I call it a cellar. It's not a collection because it's all going to get drunk. But it's grown in ways I never thought would be possible.
Well,
I
that's
thought
really
a lot
good.
of those beers would be absolutely impossible to own, and some of them I thought would be possible to ever try. And now I own...
Multiple versions?
Yes.
Yes.
Multiple bottles of things I thought was impossible to drink.
Yeah.
So that's That's a weird side effect of a weird Corona society. I mean, I'm drinking more of the rum. I'm really digging it, and I completely agree with you. It's going to be a real divider. A lot of people are going to hate that beer.
All right. So I think I'm ready to give my final verdict here. I'm going to up the bourbon to a 4.75.
Me too.
And I'm going to give the rum a 4.5.
Me too.
Me too. The rum is super, super good, but it's coming in really hot still. It's pretty boozy, and it just kind of takes you back just a moment every time you take a sip. You're like, whew.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what knocked it out. But then when after you finish it, you're like, oh yeah, that's so good.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And then you wait a little bit, take another bite, another sip, and you're like, whew, that's boozy.
But I'm more and more starting to believe that Yule Malt is not the same base beer as Yule Maelk. Yes, it's an Yule Milk Stout, but when you taste them, the rum and the bourbon versions are so close in their base. Well, they don't share the base flavors of the Yule Malt.
But I mean, I get exactly what you're saying, but I can't imagine that they brewed very different things. And since they're all an imperial milk stout, and you're starting with your base imperial milk stout at 13%, I mean, I can't imagine that they're not all taken from the same base.
Okay, so when I Google 2 öl Yule 2020,
yeah,
I only get these three.
Yes.
So that would support your theory.
Yes.
But these barrel aged ones, they specifically have a K in them, and internet says there's just Yule Malt Rum Edition. The labels are contradicting our research, but and they say that the rum one is 15%. It's all over the place. I have no idea what's happening.
So if you scan the barcode, what do you get?
Oh, I haven't tried. I'm not a barcode scanner. I'm a writer. I'm an artist. It goes to not the vintage. It goes to Yule Maelk Rum Edition, the old one.
Okay.
Because barcode scanning is. And now we're finding Yule percentage ampersand question mark exclamation mark
bourbon and vanilla barrel aged.
Bourbon and vanilla.
I don't think that exists. I think they only have this one.
So that's Yule Maelk, the old version.
Yeah. And then if you scan this one, so let's go ahead and do all three just to be sure.
Yeah. What an experiment. Yule Malt.
So the addition of a Yule Malt. Okay. What you've had before?
Yeah. In 2018.
2018. Ah.
But wait a minute. Okay, Yule Malt. The label is Yule Maelk.
So what we're hearing, what I'm seeing here is they've renamed things.
They've renamed it. This is a 100% 2 öl have renamed Yule Maelk into Yule Malt, and it hasn't made it to all of the labels yet.
Okay. That very much makes sense.
But that makes me disappointed in the Yule Malt, because it now in comparison it's not as good. I'm giving it a 4. I was talking about a 4.25 and we only had that one in our glasses.
No, I'll still give it a 4.25. I think all three of these are excellent. And I would say if you're going to cellar these, I don't
drink them all now.
Yeah, but of the three, if you're going to cellar one, I would just go with the regular Yule Malt.
That's
the Yule Malt. I think it has the most potential, and it's the most forward and kind of aggressive in its notes, especially the smoky kind of roasted malt notes. So if you want those to mellow out a little bit, save it for next year. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think you'll be quite pleased with that.
Yeah. But you know what, Stefan?
What?
You know what's been the best beer thing about 2020?
Having beers with you?
Yeah. Yes. Having beers with you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Despite the craziness of this year, we have put out 1 episode per week, 1 full Christmas calendar.
Yep.
We have not faltered, and we've had a lot of beers together outside of podcasting as well.
Oh yeah, many beers outside of podcasting.
Yes.
It was so funny last year I attended several beer festivals, and I guess the difference is I don't check in a lot of beers at beer festivals.
That's it.
Because it's just too much of a hassle. But I've checked in more beers this year than last year.
I checked in way less beers this year than last year, but it's still a pretty big amount, and that's because of our podcasting shares and our small mini shares and stuff like that. It really does feel like we made it through this year. We kind of hankered along. We did the best we could. We struggled. We succeeded in podcasting, failed in other beer areas, missed stuff, etc., etc. But
you know what? I say
we did the best we could.
Any crash you can walk away from is a success. And we did it. We made it through 2020.
That's a good one. I've never heard that one.
I haven't. No.
I thought we were going to go down swinging.
No. I think any landing you can walk away from is a successful one.
So, that makes more sense.
Which is kind of the same, implying that you've crashed your plane.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for a great year, man. And I'm looking forward to 2021. And hopefully it will not be the shit show that 2020 was.
It just has to be better.
It has to get better. It's like 3 weeks later, and then Martin got corona and died.
No, I mean we still have a train wreck of a presidential inauguration to look forward to.
I don't want to go there.
And we can look forward to the secession of several states from the United States.
That'll be fun to watch. I'm literally looking forward to that shit show.
Making a new flag that doesn't have 50 stars.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean we're gonna get Puerto Rico, so that's a trade-off.
All right, yeah. For every state that secedes from the United States, you bring in a small island.
Well, I think Puerto Rico voted to become a state finally. Like they put it up every few years. Do they want to have statehood? And it's never been accepted. I think this year they voted, and it was said they wanted to become a state.
But that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and they also should make DC its own state as well.
It's always been like an unofficial state.
Right, so it misses out on a lot of benefits that you would think it would be able to achieve, but
but it belongs to a state, right?
No, it doesn't belong to any state.
Oh wow!
So there's no representation in the Senate.
No, of course it wouldn't
for DC, which is kind of bullshit.
No, they have no police or fire department.
Well, I mean, they have that because it's still a city and it's all municipal. So, all right. Well, you can find us online at What's on Tap.
No, we need to talk more.
Yeah, we need to. We have more episodes to do for the future. We could always pick up the
episodes for the future. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm saying we have more. We have more weeks coming.
We're going to hit these beers to the top of our heads and then go to sleep.
Pass out, pretty much. Yeah. You can find us online at what'sontappodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon podcast thing. That's a thing that
Google podcast thing.
Google podcast thing. iTunes.
Many different podcast things.
All sorts of podcast things that are out there.
Yes.
We are on those. So keep listening, and as always,
This podcast is part of the Pod Syndicate family. For more criminally compelling shows, articles, and conversations, head to wearepodsyndicate.com.